To be hosting this morning's event. Before we start, I'd like to just go through a few housekeeping things with you. As you can see, the session's being recorded. Can I ask you to keep your cameras off and mics muted throughout, and please pose any questions you have in the chat facility, ready for the Q&A session at the end. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I just wanted to remind you of the services that are available to you throughout your tenure at Cardiff Met, and this is available to you year-round. By means of a quick update, for those students from the School of Technologies, if you're thinking of completing a 12-month year in industry placement, please reach out to Rhiannon Parry, our placements officer, for more information. Obviously, we at the Careers Service, big fans of social media, especially LinkedIn, so please feel free to post your thoughts about today's webinar on LinkedIn. You can follow me, request to join our LinkedIn careers page, and also follow the Careers Service on Twitter. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our guest speaker, Simon Drinkwater, Head of HR at SA Global. There'll be plenty of opportunity to ask Simon questions at the end of the talk, and I kindly ask that you put your questions in the chat facility, ready for the Q&A session at the end. I'd like to say a big thank you to Simon for taking the time out of his busy schedule to come and speak to us today. So Simon, now I'd like to hand over to you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, listen, welcome everybody, and thank you for having me. I'm just loading up the presentation, so hopefully you can see that okay. So listen, I've been very kindly asked by Claire to have a chat with you, just a little bit about, I guess, SA Global careers, a little bit in the tech sector, but quite hopefully aptly, you know, we've entitled this little slot, "No Coding Required." Clearly, when people think about technology or technology sector, I guess your first thinking is, oh, I need to have a computer science background, or I need to be into computer coding, or all that good stuff. And I guess the world is quite different to that. Certainly in our organisation, which I'll talk to you a bit about. So let me just introduce, I guess, myself first, I guess, and hopefully what I'll try and cover off in this session. So my name's Simon Drinkwater, and I'm the head of HR for SA Global here in the UK. And I guess despite having spent 25 years working in HR across a range of sectors, financial services, engineering, professional services, etc., I now find myself within the technology space at one of Microsoft's inner circle dynamic partners. We're an 11 times Microsoft Partner of the Year. What that really means is that we are held, I guess, in very high regard by Microsoft, and we have the opportunity to work closely with them, develop their Dynamics platform for the benefit of our client group. And that's where this sort of the term inner circle comes from. It's what's termed the top 1% of Microsoft partners. But I guess whilst HR is my area of specialism, I guess hopefully I'm able to offer a little bit of insight into what different types of organisations are like to work for, from large multinationals to smaller local-based SMEs. And most importantly, as you set out in your career, some of the questions perhaps I think you should be asking yourself and your prospective employers to ensure the right fit. So I guess my career has given me the opportunity to gain considerable experience, not just across all the core disciplines of HR, but I've also had good fortune to work alongside and learn from fellow leaders in other departments, specialisms that span the organisations that you ultimately will work for. So hopefully I'll share some insight into where other career avenues might take you. Here at SA Global, we equally offer a range of career options, and being part of an 800 plus strong global and diverse organisation where professional services and consultancy are at our heart, there are some exciting and rewarding career paths worthy of consideration. So I guess through this session, I'll talk to you a bit about SA Global, more to sort of help just perhaps point to certain things around debunking some of the career myths, share some mid-career insights, and give you some things to reflect on as you embark on your careers as well. Okay, so I guess the core sort of structure of the session here, I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are as SA Global. And I said, as I do that, I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the, I guess, the similar information that you're going to hear about at every interview you attend, probably, or company you apply for. And I guess you'll be able to have a think about at those interviews whether this information excites or even resonates with you. I'll talk a bit about what we do as a company. And again, I'll try and feed in some thoughts about the sorts of questions you think about when you're looking for roles. And I'll give you a bit of insight, I guess, how we sell ourselves to prospective clients. So if you are interested in a career in sales or marketing, then a company like sa.global may even be for you, even though we're a technology company, even though you may well have got more of a technology background or degree or what have you. So I guess lesson one for me anyway that I'll share is that within every company, there are a multitude of disciplines and roles. And if you don't quite know what you want to do, then just find a company that supports its employees to move around departments. You know, and now the first part of coming out of university, the first part really is just to really build experience in my book. But find a company that allows you some flexibility to spend maybe 6 months in one role, a year in a role, then move around. Find out what it is you're truly passionate about. And you can even make that sort of specific question at interview in terms of, you know, how they support people to develop and grow. Okay, so there's the structure, who we are, what we do, why work with us. And so let's sort of jump on with that. So there's a little screenshot of a whole bunch of my colleagues. One of them in there is the founder and global CEO of sa.global. I'll let you try and work out which one he is. There's the clue. But let's go on from there. So who are, I guess, sa.global? We're a tech business, depending on your definition. We're a project-focused business. We provide services and consultancy to our customers. We are industry veterans. This is our 30th year, or 31st year actually, I think, as an independent company. Originally founded by a Welshman, as it happens, from Caerphilly, Cardiff, Caerphilly region. We've seen a lot of changes in that time, but I guess something that will never change are our values. And when you work with sa.global, you sort of expect 3 key engagements really, or 3 key core values: agile, capable, committed. And they've stood the test of time through those 30 years, where we've reinvented ourselves many times to meet the market changes. And it's this capacity to respond to customers' evolving needs that enabled us to survive and thrive. And I guess as I'm saying this sort of stuff, you're going to hear this sort of spiel from potentially future employers and companies you're interested in. And again, this is the sort of things you want to try and get a sense of, is what I'm hearing about that company, is that the type of person I am? Is that the type of company I want to work for? So we're constantly innovating, leveraging new technologies, creating new services to better meet client needs. Never been more true than in the last few years, when the cloud revolution and drive to industry specialization has led us to completely re-engineer our company from the ground up, creating innovative IP, intellectual property, linked to the Microsoft ecosystem, if you like. And so we design services, etc., that are to take our clients to the next level, really, and very much based on the promise of the cloud. So we're capable, we know the industry, we are trained, certified, knowledgeable on the Microsoft technologies. We are what we call a true business partner, and therefore people that work for us need to be true business partners. And that's what you find from what we call a professional services type organization. So, you know, our job is to learn about clients, our job is to understand ourselves and add real business value. We're committed. We put our clients at the center of everything we do. So we have 2 key strands to our strategy, our company strategy. We're customer centric and we're employee centric. Clearly, employee centricity is a piece that I focus on, and I'll touch upon later about our early careers program, and that's again a key part of that. Very much we're honest at all times, show integrity in our dealings. We always put our long-term relationship before short-term gains. And as the only independent owner-operated company with scale in the global Microsoft Dynamics community, we have a luxury that we're not beholden to private equity boards, quarterly stock exchange numbers, etc. And again, when you're looking for roles and companies to work for, getting under the skin of actually what's behind a company is sometimes quite critical. Who is the owner? What is the ownership, I should say? What does that allow that company to do or not do? Does it have flexibility? Is it quite rigid? Is it not? So I've said I've worked in global organizations, AXAs, PwC, some of those large companies. I've worked in SMEs like sa.global, and you learn a bit more about which companies are flexible, dynamic, can really help you grow and develop, and which perhaps are a little bit more rigid. So stuff to think about, I guess, as you're looking for organizations to work for. So the opportunity to develop your career will perhaps be something you want to be asking a lot about. I think for an independent mid-sized company, some of our stats are quite impressive. I've been with the company for 2.5 years. As I said, I've been working for about 25. So I've got a reasonably good appreciation. I'd like to think of different types of organizations, but you know, it's easy to, I guess, make a statement like that when you've worked for many years, when you're new to careers, you want to get behind some of these numbers. So we're very fortunate. We have 850 so people around 25 countries. There's 100 of us in the UK alone. We have 31 years of experience. I've mentioned 11 times Microsoft partner. Great stats. Every company will give you good stats. At interview, when you're looking for a job, get behind them. Ask questions at interview. Make sure you really understand those, or are they just great marketing spiel? I can sit here and say I know these are true because I've obviously got behind them, but you need to ask those questions. But again, if you're interested in global careers, I've just told you we're a global company, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to move between those countries. So, just because a company is global, at interview, ask questions around, how easily can I move? How quickly can I move to another country? Are there going to be visa issues? Are there going to be restrictions? Some companies are very, very good at helping you move globally. Some have not quite got the processes in place. Today, that's something we're looking at. We've moved some people around, but we need to get better at it because the global workforce is evolving massively. Okay, but again, doesn't matter whether you're in tech business or any business. Those are some of the things to think about. So there you go, just a little screenshot, I guess, of the breadth. The little orange dots, I guess, are where we're scattered. And I guess that really plays into what we call is our 24/7 365 availability. We have a term we use, follow the sun. We have people in every sort of time zone, broadly speaking, across the world. And if you work with a company like sa.global, certainly with us anyway, you're very fortunate. You're very likely to work with people in all of those time zones, which is quite exciting. Does make the day an interesting one when, of course, you start at 9, finish at 5, but your colleagues are probably only just waking up or going to bed. So what do we do? There's a bit more detail around that for you to understand a little bit more about sa.global and the world we work in. So we deliver business transformation projects that deliver on the promise of the cloud. Okay, we do that in our focus industry, what's called ProServe. That's a Microsoft term. Basically, it's professional services. Industries where the main delivery is through knowledge workers, engineering, architects, law firms, IT, accounting firms, etc. And we do this at scale across the globe. So as one of very few partners with a truly global reach, we've developed a niche in multi-country, multi-legal entity, multi-localization rollouts. So again, if that's the type of work you're interested in, then you want to be looking for companies that offer those sorts of opportunities. It certainly means you're going to have a varied sort of, I guess, work life. Never 2 days are never the same. It could mean that you're working on a global project where you get the opportunity to work with colleagues as far afield as the US, Asia Pacific, India, Serbia, Western Europe, certainly in our case. Equally, you might just be working on a project which is purely and simply the UK. So again, when you're looking at companies, you're looking for those opportunities that might present themselves down the road and where you're going to get the best personal development from them. Working on a UK only project is very different to working on a global project with global colleagues. So all of this is delivered across the Microsoft platform, Azure, Dynamics 365, Microsoft 365. And what you'll find, I guess, in any company is that if you understand what it does, what its strategy is, and then that will really help you think about how you can support your career. So a lot of questions for you to be asking in terms of your research you do in future employers. In our business, we have a range of roles, I guess, that are required to deliver all of the above. Probably the biggest area is what we call our delivery area. We have functional consultants, we have solution architects, those that understand the product and advise our clients on a day-to-day basis. And as much as these are tech guys, they are also problem solvers, change agents, customer relationship managers. So again, really get under the skin of the roles you're interested in. If you've done a technology degree, that's fantastic, but there's such a multitude of roles that come from that and a lot of other skills that need to go alongside the product knowledge, the technical knowledge that you acquire. Behind those sort of frontline delivery roles, we have what we call support consultants in our managed service. Again, guys that really understand the product. They operate at a different level, work with existing customers more than new customers, maintain their systems, solve day-to-day user issues. So again, every day is different for these guys, and really, I guess, keep them on their toes and help develop their product knowledge. Project management, does what it says on the tin. You know, we have what we call associate project managers or junior level roles where people can come in and start that sort of career path to become a fully fledged project manager in the future. Program directors then are really at the top of the tree, if you like, running our very large global projects. And more we're introducing change management into the offering, a term that you'll probably pick up and hear a lot about. In our mind, it's very much a separate role, works alongside project management, focuses on the impact on people of the system implementations, changes that we're working on. So, you know, all of the work we do, this business transformation, etc., it's very much teamwork. You know, it's not just one person working on one client on their own. Never that case. There's always quite a good sized team operating on every project. And I guess what's really important for me, as you set out on careers as well, even if you think you know where you want to get to, it's important to do roles in different departments. Build your breadth of knowledge. I think when I started out, the simple way I used to describe it, you start as let's say a newly graduated person, and you're looking at the top of the tree thinking, I want this straight line career path to the top. The biggest advice I would give anybody now is do what I call is the tic-tac, as in the sailing analogy. Zigzag your career, work in lots of different roles at different levels, at the same level, slowly progressing your way forward, because you'll build skills, knowledge, experience that ultimately can only help you succeed longer term. So that's my sort of one big piece of advice from my career and looking at many others in years gone by is don't focus so much on what is the obvious short line trajectory. Focus on building skills, building knowledge, building experience, and all the rewards and benefits of a successful career come just after that. And of course, alongside those roles I've talked about within a tech business, you know, the consultants, the solution architects, the project managers, of course, you have all the support functions, the finance, HR, marketing, sales, pre-sales, as we call it. And our pre-sales is an interesting one. So if you're very much a technical person who's also got a little bit of an interest in the sales end of it all, then some of our solution architects are fundamentally pre-sales guys. They know the product probably as well as anybody else, but they're out there helping to demonstrate it to future clients, which again makes their role very, very interesting because they get to meet lots and lots of people in lots of different industries. Okay, so even these support functions need to be capable of understanding technology and its impacts in different ways. I do in my role, you know, I'm very much people focused, of course, but I need to understand how the people, the roles interact with the technology so that we can provide the right sort of training, learning, development, and resources to help people do their jobs. So again, just because you've done a more of a technical computer-based degree doesn't mean you end up in what we call that coding world. It could end up anywhere, and I think that's what makes the tech industry so fascinating. So in terms of sa.global, again, we sort of very much base ourselves around 6 core practices. As you can see them there. Foundation really is about future-proofing your business with an application foundation that scales as you grow. That's very much the Dynamics product that Microsoft offer. That's our core expertise, probably makes up today 70% of our business. So our expertise across Microsoft technology and industry knowledge, coupled with industry solutions and accelerators, enable us to deliver on quality, time, cost, giving a client faster time to value. And again, value is key in all the stuff we do. Collaboration is very much sort of enabling a seamless flow of information between people and systems inside and outside organizations, whilst retaining security and control of that information. So it maximizes the capability to consolidate, combine, and build on information to deliver enhanced efficiency, data accuracy, and smarter decision making. Insights is, I guess, moving organizations from data to decisions with actionable insights and scenario modeling that empower business users to drive innovation and growth, connecting data from across sort of a client's ecosystem to get a single version of the truth and move from hindsight to foresight. And of course, I'm sure you're hearing a lot more about data, insights, etc. Our global head of insights sits here in Cardiff, but he has a team that spans the globe. And we've recently taken on actually 2 Cardiff-based graduates from a local program into our data and AI team or our insights team. In February, we'll bring a couple more into the programme. So again, from our point of view, being a Welsh business or a UK-based business in many ways, situated here in Wales, we look very much to sort of build some of that, our sort of future talent from within the local area. Managed services, again, what that's all about is enhancing end user satisfaction by stabilizing operations, driving continuous improvements in their Microsoft business applications and their ecosystem, whilst focusing on, I guess, the core business. You know, our experts are there to try and maximize the value of the product or the system we've implemented. And we have a small team here in the UK, but the core sort of teams around that form our managed services are based in India, Colombia and Serbia. But again, we work very closely with them on every project. And advisory, that sort of is about transforming the business. Yeah, it's achieving the best possible business outcomes from a transformation and change programs. And I mentioned earlier that change management becoming ever more important. So our expertise across the Microsoft technology and industry knowledge allows us to navigate a client through strategy setting, mobilizing, delivering, sustaining the changes. Okay, and again, to ensure that they derive maximum value. So again, it's all about making sure that what we implement for them is delivering value. And that's sort of, I guess, what you get as you learn sort of the roles within SA Global is that you're trying to help the client ultimately get the maximum value they can. Resilience, I guess, is the last one of our 6 practices, protecting a core business operations through ongoing regulatory compliance, business continuity, and the implementation approach. So when you start talking about things like GDPR, etc., SOX, security recovery, risk management services, clearly that's critical for any business these days. So that gives you a little sense of, I guess, a lot of the stuff we do. The client group are very much professional services, as I mentioned. So again, a great opportunity you'll find with some companies, depending on the role you do, particularly if you're client facing, is that, yeah, you get to work for one company and get the security of that, but you get the upside of working potentially with different companies in different sectors. So for us, you might end up on a client in the architecture engineering sector. You may then move on to one in the accounting world. You may then move on to one in time, you know, in the legal sector. So again, that's one of the upsides, I guess, certainly when you're working in a professional services type business, certainly in the technology industry as we are, is that we, you know, our employees get the opportunity to sort of touch many different sectors, which just builds your knowledge, builds your experience. So you don't get, you know, so that you might be on a client for 6 months, you might be on them for a year. So this isn't swapping and changing all the time. So you need to manage your own expectations, but those opportunities exist. So again, something to be thinking about when you're looking for future roles. So again, I said, many companies out there very similarly doing what we do in terms of that reach to different client groups. So it's important to do your research, review websites, talk to people, ask questions about those companies. Okay, we then often ask people why would you partner with an SA Global? Why would you even come and work for us? Well, you know, we have an array of clients, and this is only barely scratching the surface, but to give you a flavour, Italian Servest, who you can see on there, they're a 23,000 employee business, over 7,000 sites, facilities management, global facilities management company. We sort of lead that piece of work out of the UK, but we're implementing globally. So we have colleagues in many different countries working on that. VWV, you see on there, Field Fisher, Brown Jacobson, Webb Wenzel, all in the legal sector. Field Fisher, again, sort of led out the UK, 1,700 people they employ across 25 international offices. So again, a very large scale implementation. These are the sorts of projects people can get to work on. Dentsu Aegis Network, you can see on there, are potentially our biggest client and one of our longest standing clients, a huge global brand and creative company, you know, based across sort of 11 locations around the world. And we've been working with them for a good number of years now, and through managed services, it carries on. And again, Arcadis, another one, 28,000 people, 70 countries. So you immediately get a feel for some of the larger companies, and I'm particularly picking those out as opposed to, let's call it just some of the local ones. We do some work with the Welsh Revenue Authority, so that's very much a local-based, UK-based project, and we've got other UK-based ones as well. So a huge variety of clients we work with across a huge variety of sectors. So ultimately, like many companies, you know, we aim to be employee-centric and also customer-centric. We value our employees, but we also clearly value our clients, and we're always looking to try and get the feedback from clients, as you can see on the screen there, and that's really, really important for us. because ultimately without our clients, without their sort of positive feedback, then clearly we don't grow. So I guess in the last little section of my little chat, and then I can sort of hand over for questions. I just want to quickly talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about SA Global and why you might work for us. So a key thing for me really is with us, not for us. So again, I've mentioned I've worked across many companies and in many different sectors, and have had, I guess, the upside and downside of seeing different cultures. I've landed here at SA Global. I think one of the key things for me is the type of company we are. It's all about the values and the people. It's an adult environment. So you really want to be asking any employer, future employer, about their culture, about who they are, and get them to give you examples. Remember, an interview's two-way. It's not just them looking at you, you're looking at them as well. So, you know, with a company like us, we have virtual working anywhere in the UK after you complete our early careers program, you know, because a lot of our clients are scattered. So the early careers program is set out of our Cardiff office. But once you get through that, then really, quite bluntly, we don't really mind where you live in the UK. And all of our consultants are remote workers technically anyway. The technology industry, not just us, there are strong salary prospects if you push your way through it over a number of years. Never more so, it has this sector needed high caliber people. There is a skill shortage, bluntly. We've seen it very much even through off the back of the pandemic. But again, if there's a little bit of a motivation for salary and earnings, then the technology sector is not a bad place to head. Clear career paths and supported development are critical. You can see my little backdrop on my screen talks about our early careers program. We similarly have a program for people who are at the beginning of their career, not necessarily new graduates. It could be people who've got a couple of years experience as well in other roles who want to come in. It's the personality that's important for us. It's the type of individual you are, and then we'll offer the competitive benefits. But as I said, most importantly for us, it's about culture. The right people is who we look for first. If you've got some of that sort of knowledge, degrees, etc. off the back of it, that's an absolute bonus. So career paths are really important again for us. I talked a bit about this through the presentation. Project delivery, you can see on the left hand side, very much program management or project management, and sort of the steps you can go through. Consultancy, which is very much the solution architect sort of route. Functional consultants, those are the people who are sort of the experts on the Microsoft Dynamics platform. Support, again, a lot of our early careers people will start in our support team because we think it's one of the safest, you know, areas, if you like, to develop and grow. You'll be in there for a number of months, and then eventually you can move off into the consultancy world or wherever you go next. And then, of course, non-delivery, your HR, finance, marketing, sales, you know, they very much have career paths within their own functions. So again, you know, as I said, it's very important to be able to move left and right in a career, develop skill sets as well. And even just within, for example, our consultancy route, you know, there's a multitude of roles within there based on the different products that we offer, that we implement, sorry. So as I said, with a company like us, you'd start on our early careers program anyway. You'll get a lot of support and coaching through there at the appropriate time. So we don't work on a rigid, it's 1 year, 2 years or whatever. We work on the basis that we align, if you like, your, I guess, pace of development and growth with the needs of the business. And if you thrive and fly quicker, then all being well and good, you'll move. Making sure people build confidence in themselves, and then that sort of plays through, I guess, into the clients and everything that comes thereafter. Okay, so I guess my last slide before I sort of bring it to a close is just talking a little bit, even beyond SA Global, really, about the attributes I guess I think you need to succeed. So these are very much the SA Global ones, but I think they apply to a lot of organizations. And for me, for a lot of individuals coming out of sort of university and degrees and courses today. So, for example, for us at SA Global, you need to be you at SA Global, not someone you're not. And what I mean by that is, I always remember a managing director I worked for once had a phrase. He doesn't want people turning up, hanging their coat up as they walk in the door and taking that coat as they walk out, i.e. bring your whole personality to work. Don't leave it at the front door of the office and be somebody different in the office. That serves nobody. So we're always looking for the individual, the personality, the type of person. And for in our case in SA Global, they're self-starters, they're learners, people who always want to learn, problem solvers, self-motivated, and you can see the words on the screen there. But again, in any company, you want to understand what's the type of person they're looking for. So read the job advert, read the job description closely. And again, if you get to interview, ask questions. Test them on what they say, because the website will probably tell you the type of values they have and the type of person. So always consider all of this stuff for the company you're applying for. Identify synergies between, I guess, your personality, behaviors, skills and knowledge and the experience and their needs. So you're trying to find that fit, because I guess if you're lucky, it could be a relationship that lasts for many years. But what you don't want to be doing is trying to be somebody different all the time. So, whilst I've set there very much SA Global attributes, I think they apply to a lot of organizations these days, particularly in the SME world. Sometimes a little bit different, I find, in larger organizations. But again, something to test, something to ask as you go through any sort of recruitment process. Okay, so I think hopefully the one thing you'll notice through most of that, as the heading suggested, I haven't talked about coding at all, probably because I don't really know much about coding, given I have an HR background, but equally because I guess all I'm trying to give you a sense of is there's a multitude of roles within the technology sector. Some will of course require coding, some don't, but the breadth is huge, and just because you've got the degree perhaps you've got doesn't mean you'll be pigeonholed in that sort of line for the rest of your career, unless you choose to, of course. So listen, hopefully that's given you some little things to reflect on. It's given you a bit more insight into who SA Global are, giving you a bit more insight into a sort of a career in the technology industry and the breadth that can offer. And at that point, I guess I will stop talking, Claire, if that's okay.
Yeah,
and
brilliant.
Ask questions. Yeah,
if you want to just stop presenting.
I will do that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Simon. I have to say that was a great talk, extremely insightful. Before I pass you over to Sarah, just a quick question. You talk about tech and you're from a HR background. As a HR professional, obviously you're looking for people to come into your organisation who are very open-minded by the sounds of it and authentic. But what mistakes do graduates and early years careers people make when they're applying for jobs at SA Global and at interview? And what tips and hints and tips would you give them?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying necessarily mistake, but I think that the one thing you have to accept is that your CV and how you approach the company is critical. We receive plenty of CVs every day. Even a short covering letter makes a difference. That initial statement at the top of your CV makes a difference. So you've got to think about how are you going to stand out. And I've seen a whole array of creativity over the years. But there's step one. It's as simple as that. Your first job is to try and stand out from the crowd. It's hard. There are a lot of people looking for a lot of jobs, and it's not just, you're not just competing, if you like, I think these days with let's say fellow graduates. As I said, ours is an early careers program. We're trying to appeal to people who have been out in work maybe for 2-3 years. More companies are doing that. So you've got to find a way to stand out. You've got to be a little bit more, I guess, what's the word? Just progressive in your thinking, and don't just sit and just say, oh, I tried and I failed type of thing. If you're really interested and you've done your research and you like the company you're looking at, think about how you're going to get on their radar. Brilliant.
Thanks, Simon. Okay, I'm going to pass you over to Sarah. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. So we've got a couple of questions in the chat. So the first one is, what support and development does the early careers programme offer to new entrants?
Okay, so the way that the majority, if not, certainly the majority of our early career entrants will go is into what we call, I said, our support team. So some companies will put you, in our world, will put you straight into a consultancy role. Okay, and there's a lot of large global companies that do that, and there's plenty of other ones that small ones that do the same. We've taken a different route. We genuinely believe that what's important is we get you up to speed on the product, i.e. dynamics, and you understand our business as best you can, as quick as you can. And we equally recognise the transition from, let's say, the world of study to the world of work is quite a big one. And so we are very fortunate. We have a support, what we call a support services team in the UK, with a very sort of people-focused manager that runs it. And we've successfully put a number of people now through that team who have then gone on to consultancy or project management, who are now sort of 3-4 years beyond that team. So it's all about putting you in a safe environment. It's all about giving you the coaching and the one-to-one support. It's then giving you the personal development you need when you need it. And in the early careers program there's a lady in my team, Sarah, who will be overseeing all of our early careers individuals. So you'll have your line manager, you'll also have Sarah there sort of very much as an additional support and coach. And she will sort of walk through your sort of, let's call it your early career program every step of the way. So that very high level is sort of the support and the development that comes with it. A little additional piece that literally not even hot off the press, because in 2 hours time we'll be launching for all global employees access to LinkedIn Learning. So if you know about that, that gives access to over 8,000 or so courses, learning paths, etc. That goes live just this afternoon, because I'm got to go and launch that after this. But again, it's all about giving employees, whether you're new to the company or you've been here for years, the right access to the right development tools.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Another question, university students coming through a programme this summer was mentioned. Does sa.global offer student and graduate programmes?
So at this, so if I'm clear, what you're asking is around placement type years, is that the thing, or are we talking about once you've graduated?
I think so. It says about student and graduate programs, so
okay.
Maybe like
so right now we don't offer any placement programs. That is very much on our radar, probably in all honesty next year. So this is the early careers program I'm talking to you about right now, is an evolution of, I guess, programs we've done over the past few years, but we're completely revamping it and restructuring it as well. So really, you know, if you've graduated and are available to work, there's the early careers program. If you're within a course and you're looking for placement and stuff like that, we're not quite ready yet to do that. But that's a conversation that I'll be progressing with probably Sarah, Claire, and what have you in the sort of months to come.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's all the questions in the chat. I'm not sure if anybody would like to come on camera and ask any questions, or
I think Catherine's.
Catherine?
Hi,
yeah,
Catherine.
I'm just going to switch my calendar because no, I'm going to move my screen over here. So that's much better. I was going to say I've got a number of cameras in my office. Thanks, Simon. Hello, by the way, my name is Catherine. I'm Associate Dean for Partnerships in the School of Technologies. So thanks ever so much for your talk today. For the students here, it's obviously been really beneficial, and I think for those who will get to watch the recording, it will be too. I really enjoyed your talk, and it was interesting to hear things from, you know, a professional services perspective. I came from that sort of background, and it's one of the most rewarding aspects, that ability to work with a diverse range of clients, and I think particularly for people early in their career, it's such great experience that you can draw on, you know, right into the future of your career. So I thought that was really interesting, and it's always really rewarding to hear people talk about the diversity of range of roles, within technology, particularly in relation to coding. I think there is a misconception even within student cohorts that programming is everything, and of course it isn't. You know, that it's not just about programming. Programming is an important skill, but computing is so creative. You know, there's just such a wealth of different roles out there.
Yeah, and the other thing, this is a bit fascinating for me. So I'm bizarrely, although I work in HR, I'm actually fascinated by technology and what it brings to the world, if you like, and the world we live in and the world we work in. And I think for me, one of the things I would also probably guide or counsel people on today is just take as much time as you can to understand what's coming down the line. So in one sense, I feel quite privileged now. I work within technically the Microsoft ecosystem. So we get to hear things. We have a Microsoft relationship manager at sa.global who I talk to quite regularly. I have the good fortune to talk to one of their learning and development people, and you hear what things they are working on today, which haven't even hit us yet. And, you know, candidly, you know, if you want to get into the world where you are helping them code and do all that back, well, that's great. But actually, the ramifications of the way the world is evolving is going to be quite fascinating. I mean, look, we're just sitting here now, aren't we, on a Teams call with however many people. I've just presented to you. I've sat there. I've got my notes on one side of my screen. I've got this one. Just a small thing, how the world has evolved literally in the last 2 years because of what's happened. We've got to this point in literally that 2 years of COVID. People have been trying that probably for 5-10 years. So the mix of what I call technology and personal behavior is to me is quite fascinating. And, you know, so that world of technology is evolving, as you say. And the professional services bit is also, you know, we've always known accountancy firms, auditors go in, they meet lots of different companies and stuff. Same with legal practices. That, you know, I also think it's a really fascinating place to learn and grow. And something we're finding as well, actually, we actually recruit people who are accountants or were accountants to come across and be consultants. Why? Because they understand accountancy, they understand our clients, and we'll teach you the product. I mean, it's only it's a system. It's nowadays it's more about configuring, flick this on, flick that off. That's me with my IT speak. But yeah.
No, it's true, and I think that's key in technology, isn't it? It's all about, I mean, having the technical skills is clearly key, but it is about empowering society and, you know, facilitating businesses, you know, making things better in some ways, and that's key. And I think you're right. It's also having that appreciation for the motivators behind what you're doing and why you're doing it. So that ability to go into organizations, work with people, understand their particular culture and their particular curiosities, and being able to help them for who they are rather than just imposing a technological solution onto someone. So, you know, I think that's so important.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Totally agree.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming along today, Simon. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. Okay, I think we have one more question.
Okay.
Oh, you're on mute, Sarah. It's okay.
Sorry. Tech graduates and professionals are seen as introverted, who are very good at, say, programming or analytics, but may find it difficult to sell themselves. However, businesses like yours are looking to recruit all-rounders. Due to the current skills shortage, do you make compromises?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Compromises. I'm not going to. That's a really hard one to answer. I'm not going to sit here and say they are compromises as such. I mean, I think again, if I just think about some of the consultants we employ, we've got plenty that probably are naturally introverted. I think look, at the end of the day, when you're interviewing somebody, you're looking them in the round and you're trying to make trade-offs. You know, if somebody's really strong on a candidate that's perhaps the flip version, you've just got to make a decision on it. So I'm not going to sit there and say we make compromises. At the end of the day, I guess we know what we think. We know the type of person we think will make a good consultant or a good project manager or a good support services person. So our support services guys never meet the client face to face, whereas our consultants may physically go and meet somebody face to face. We could arguably say the support role might suit an introvert, and actually we have a couple of very introverted people because they can always hide behind the screen. We have some consultants, however, that need to be a little bit more outgoing. So I think that my point is there are roles for everybody. And what we try and do is if you apply for one particular role and we're interviewing you and thinking you're not quite right for that, we do ask ourselves the question, are they suitable somewhere else? And so I think if that's the compromise, then that's a compromise we can make. I've said through the session, there's lots of different roles in an organization. I like to think we're open-minded enough to, as I said, we're looking for the individual, we're looking for their all-round personality and traits. And if they're not right for the role they think they're right for, we'll ask them for another one. And I've got a very good example of that, not in the graduate level, within our finance team. We've interviewed somebody for one role, we don't think they're right for that role. We've gone back to them and said, we've got another role over here. Could that be better for you? Now they can say no, but that's how we try and think.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's all the questions now that are in the chat. So
brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. Simon, I just wanted to say a big thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today. Good luck with the launch of the LinkedIn training for later. Sounds like you're going to be quite busy, and I'm sure you'll be inundated with questions. But thanks very much. If the students have got any questions once we've posted this and shared the video, then we'll come back to you with those questions. And certainly if you've got anything that you want to share with them, then drop an email to me and I can share that with them.
Well, the one thing I would say, again, we have got the early careers role and details on your Cardiff Met job site, I think it is, isn't it? So again, that gives a bit more detail, and also who else in my team they can contact if they want more information.
Brilliant, that's great. Well, thanks very much, Simon, and we hope to see you again soon.
No problem at all. Thank you
very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.